Europe freezes Russia's sovereign assets indefinitely, raising the cost of war. The European Union has taken a bold and unprecedented step by immobilizing Russian sovereign assets for an indefinite period. These assets will be returned to Moscow only if Russia ends the war and agrees to pay reparations to Ukraine. In the same week that Donald Trump described European countries as decaying and their leaders as weak, Europe responded decisively. On Thursday, the European Union invoked an extraordinary clause in its treaties to freeze assets of the Russian central bank worth approximately 210 billion euros held within the EU. With this decision, the EU has strengthened its most powerful leverage against the Kremlin, pushed back against external pressure, and effectively isolated vast sums of money from Russia's war machine, all at once. We're sending Russia a strong message. As long as this brutal war of aggression continues, the costs for Russia will keep rising, said European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. It is also a powerful signal to Ukraine. We want to make sure that our brave neighbor becomes even stronger, both on the battlefield and at the negotiating table. The majority of these frozen assets, around 185 billion euros, are held at Euroclear, a central securities depository based in Brussels. The remaining 25 billion euros are spread across banks in 5 different EU member states. Together, they represent one of the largest concentrations of Russian state wealth outside the country. Until now, these funds had been immobilized under the EU's standard sanctions regime, which requires unanimous approval from all member states every 6 months to remain in force. Although all sanctions packages against Russia have so far been extended, the process has become increasingly fragile and politically sensitive. Earlier this year, Hungary repeatedly threatened to veto the extension of sanctions, forcing EU diplomats into last-minute negotiations to prevent the collapse of restrictions that have been carefully built since February 2022. These repeated standoffs exposed how vulnerable the sanctions system had become to internal disagreements. By moving to an indefinite freeze through extraordinary legal mechanisms, the EU has reduced the risk of future deadlock and ensured that Russian assets remain blocked, regardless of political turbulence inside the bloc. The decision marks a significant escalation in Europe's economic response to the war. For Moscow, it sends a clear message: time no longer works in its favor. For Kyiv, it reinforces Europe's long-term commitment to accountability, justice, and sustained support, not only until the fighting stops, but until the consequences of the war are fully addressed.